Hey, welcome to another dev blog. Today I'm going to be showing a new product that we've been developing and also talk about where development for BridgeOS 2.0 is. Let's take a look. Alrighty, so let's get straight into it. A couple of weeks ago, we acquired a new 3D printer, needing to upgrade from some previous printers. I was looking for something that was not a project, but was a tool to get projects done. We often need to print off assembly jigs, bits and pieces for, aiding in that mechanical process, test fitting enclosures, all that sort of stuff. So it was a really useful tool for us. And I got a little bit curious and started playing around with some 3D printed switch toppers that I had been thinking about. And I'm not a big switch topper guy myself, so I thought, I'll kind of print some out, see if I can design something that I, would like the feel and the look of. And it's a question that we get surprisingly often. People jump into our group and ask for recommendations on good switch toppers that work with our products. It might seem really simple, but there's a couple of gotchas that you need to look out for. The biggest one, especially with the older switches that sit a little bit lower to the enclosure surface, looking for options that don't interfere with the protective cover that we offer as well. So take a Bridge 6 here with the older switch styles. Because these front ones sit so low to the enclosure, some switch toppers that have a really kind of large underhang were causing some issues with the switch not actuating correctly. So I iterated through a couple of prototypes and designs. I thought, well, is the only reason for doing this, there's not going to be much point unless we can make something that's really cool and different from what's available. So addressing two key considerations for that is, one, they have to work perfectly with our switches. I don't want to have it be some kind of general purpose, one size fits all approach. It's designed specifically for the switches that we use on our MIDI controllers. And secondly, I thought that whilst the kind of graphic OLED display is really great, depending on what you want to display, it could be really handy to have some kind of, like symbols or icons on your switch toppers, depending on what you want to do. And I guess a really common use case for this would be looping, where you have a handful of set functions like record, overdub, play, stop, so on and so forth. So we've created what I think is a really great switch topper. Let's take a look. All right, so here we are. Now we've got a couple of different color options, and our thoughts are, we're going to send some of these off for testing, get some really good community feedback before we even design to, sell any. We want to know if they're worth the hassle. But having access to really quick prototyping and manufacturing makes, the design and development of something like this really quick and easy, and they're really high quality. So let's take a look at one. The plan is that we would offer some plain color ones and then also some icon packs, depending on what functions you might want. So if we take this the record one here as an example, this is printed out of a material called PETG, which is a really nice material for mechanical parts. It prints quite easily. You can get a really nice finish with it. It has really good UV resistance, as well as a whole bunch of other mechanical and chemical properties that make it ideal for something like this. Very hard wearing, and these things are rock solid. I was testing some out one night and chucked it on and couldn't break it if I tried. The mechanical switch is designed to be stepped on, and I think it would give way first before this does. So it's got a really nice texture, so it's got a little bit of grip there. And these are designed to just go straight onto the switches. So they're press fit, like I said, designed exactly for our switches. They're just a beautiful press fit, and it's not coming off. You can pull and tug. It's not going to accidentally come off at all. Articulates beautifully, but with a little bit of deliberate force, you can pull it right off. Perfectly reusable. I've done some test fits on these, and on insertion testing, and over at least 100 cycles, the fit felt pretty much identical to the first time. So they're going to be really, really long lasting and hard wearing. You can take them off and organize your switches as you see fit. So yeah, currently we've got our navigation pack, which has, I'll try and put these in the right orientation for you, but you've got play, stop, record, pause, cancel, like a redo or overdub, as well as forward and backward symbols. And we've got the same options, but in white. as well. Depending on the lighting conditions that you're in, you might want to have the white option. And then we've also got these two really nice solid color options as well. We don't want to go too overboard and offer a whole bunch of different colors under the sun. If you think any of these might be your favorite, let us know. We've got this really nice gold, which has kind of a beautiful shimmer on, depending on the lighting that it's in. It's a really rich gold. It's looking a little bit lighter, sort of looking at this camera feed, than it is in person, but it's a really nice rich gold. And then also, really nice purple. And again, you've got that same nice textured surface to offer you a little bit of grip. And these just press fit on, and it works really, really well. Really happy with this. There's no grub screw or no fastening needed. You just put them on, and we've got options for both the new style of switches and also the older round switch as well. So the plan is to have these icon packs. We'll start with, I think, the navigation options make the most sense. We've got a few other ideas, but we'll be going pretty heavily off community feedback. So if you have any other kind of icons or something you'd love to see there, feel free to let us know, as well as some solid colors, probably just black, white, and this purple and gold to start with. We're going to put some packs together and send them out to some testers to see what they think, see if they think they're as great as we think they are. And then pending that, we'll put them up on our site. So yeah, they should be really, really affordable option, tailor-made for your bridge controller if you are after that. So there are our switch toppers. Then the other thing I wanted to talk about is BridgeOS. It's definitely taking a little bit longer than initially planned. I know that feels like a broken record on a lot of things. That's unfortunately the reality of running a small business sometimes, is that no matter how well you plan, things just can take longer than you think they will, and that's an unfortunate reality. Part of that is some personal circumstances, and also just the reality of collaborating between people in a small business. But things are going pretty well. One of the last things to do with that is do a bunch of testing and synchronize the new editor with changes made to Device API. I've talked a lot about that. There's been a pretty big overhaul with Device API. From a firmware perspective, that's done. I've also been working on a new build server, which is going to dynamically generate JSON schemas and documentation for the Device API changes, and it actually does that by connecting to the devices in real time, grabbing sample data sets off them, processing them, and then packaging them into nice, easy to read documentation. So if you want to play around with Device API, that's all built off firmware, which is going to get rid of any inconsistencies between the documentation and what's going on your device without having so much manual effort required in that, which is going to be really good. But yeah, it is going to be sort of a line in the sand in terms of you will need to update your device in order to use the new editor and some of the new editor features, and that's just because it's really difficult to maintain different versions for the different firmwares where the Device API isn't compatible from the current implementation to 2.0. So we'll have both versions available up for you to use, but then if you do want to use those new features, you'll need to update your firmware. But the good news is we've been able to tick off a ton of either bugs or issues or improvement suggestions that you guys have suggested. There's also a ton of great new features. Most of those are all implemented and working nicely, which is great. It's just that sort of editor integration and testing that we need to do. I've also been reworking the MIDI drivers a fair bit to improve the MIDI through performance, as well as reduce some of the latency on triggering, which is going to be really nice because there were some issues on sort of using MIDI through with various smart messages in particular that could cause, kind of some collisions and crashes between what the device was doing and also sending that MIDI through. So that's been pretty much resolved. So if you have any questions about that specifically, I know it's been a bit of a, kind of, oh, yep, we're getting close, we're doing this. I hear you. I know it's definitely frustrating. We're working as hard as we can, and it shouldn't be long now. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. We love to see those and answer you guys. Cheers.